Hello, boys and girls. We are going to finish the story of Lola and Tiva today. We are thinking about, while we read, what was the author's purpose for writing this story? This author wrote a true story, so he wrote about someone else's story, and it really happened to this little girl, Tiva, and her family. It's the story of the little girl who was not allowed to have a puppy, but instead found a rhinoceros to love and take care of. So as you're thinking of why the author might have written the story, a lot of thoughts come to my mind. It shares the story of a little girl whose dream is to just take care of an animal. She loves animals and she wants to take care of an animal so bad. She's not allowed to have a puppy, so she has to figure something else out. So the author, one reason they might have written this story is for others to relate to it, which means that some parts of this story kind of are the same as you in your real life. You might be an animal lover and you might have a dream to take care of an animal, and maybe you're doing it or you want to do it someday. So it's a way to look at this little girl and see how you and her might be the same in that way. Another purpose I kind of thought of in my head was um, the unlikely friendship, right? That we might find friendship anywhere. And I think that's more of the bigger purpose. That she thought, she might have thought she might never have a pet or an animal to love and take care of. But she didn't give up on that dream, and this rhino kind of fell into her life as something she could take care of. So we never really know where we're going to find a big friendship that's very meaningful to our lives, whether that's with another person or with an animal that we have really just fallen in love with. So the places where you can find friendship can be anywhere, right? They can be something really out there, like finding friendship with a rhinoceros, or they can be pretty normal and average, and you're finding a friend within your class or within your neighborhood. So we can find friendship anywhere. So I want us to be thinking about that as we look and listen to more of Lola and Tiva's life. This was the page we left off on, where Lola and Tiva, we hear Lola is a lot like a big puppy. She needs taken care of. She likes to climb things, lick things, smell things. So this is kind of the beginning of Lola and Tiva's life when Lola is very little. Of course, rhinos are not really like dogs. They don't eat dog food. When Lola was about 5 months old, she started to eat like a real rhino. She ate shrubs, twigs, and leaves. Her upper lip is shaped like a hook and can grab onto food. Lola could wrap her hook around sticks and leaves, but she still loved to drink her milk too. Rhinos in the wild are usually shy. They often run away if they see or smell people. Lola was too young to be afraid of people. Tiva and the rangers became her family. A baby rhino is called a calf. A calf usually stays with its mother for 2 years. The mother watches over her calf. Lola needed someone to look after her. Tiva became Lola's special friend. Like a pet, Lola needed special care. Tiva helped pick bugs off Lola's body. The bugs could make Lola sick. In the wild, birds eat the bugs off a rhino's skin, but birds could not do that for Lola. There were too many people around. Lola also needed to take baths, mud baths. When a rhino rolls in the mud, it's called wallowing. It's an important part of being a rhino. The mud protects the rhino's skin from the sun, like sunscreen. Once the mud dries, it also keeps bugs from biting. Tiva made sure Lola knew how to wallow. It isn't as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of practice. A rhino does not have to wash the mud off. A little girl does. Lola and Tiva shared their days together. Lola learned about being a rhinoceros, and Tiva learned about being a friend. It was a lot of fun, and it wore them out. Now Lola is almost full grown. She is too big to play with Tiva like she used to, but the time they spent together will always be special. After all, a little girl never forgets her first best friend. So like we talked about before, friendship is a huge part of this and how we can find friendship in any way, right? It doesn't have to be limited to just a friend we have in class or a neighborhood. This little girl found friendship with a rhinoceros, a very unusual friend. Another thing this author, I think, after we've read that, tried to kind of teach us is a little information about rhinos, right? How they need to wallow in the mud so that, they have like a natural sunscreen and to protect them from bugs. So we learned a lot about rhinos. We learned what they eat, the twigs, the shrubs, the leaves. We learned how they eat it with that hook on their mouth where they can scoop things up. We learned that she still likes to drink milk. So we learned quite a bit about rhinos from this story and the care that they naturally get in the wild that had to be provided by Tiva since Lola is no longer roaming in the wild with other rhinos. So a lot of interesting facts we can pick up on from this story. That is the very end. After this, you're going to go onto Seesaw and complete an activity answering this question. How have Lola and Tiva changed? So there will be another video for you to watch for directions in your Seesaw assignment, and I'm excited to see your answers.